Okay guys, I'm going to run a check on this track with the 47. I've cleaned the track with the track rubber. It's all looking nice and shiny. And I gave it a shot with my Castle class over there. And it worked all right. I fixed up a couple of little things. So we're going to try the 47 and see how it goes. Now if the camera goes jerky, it's just that I've done something wrong and I'm trying to catch a train. So from falling off either end because I haven't secured those ends yet. So bear with me. I'm going to start it up. Alright, I think I'm going in the right direction. Alright, so far so good. So there's a bump there somewhere I'll have to fix up. And looks like it's come off the tracks because of that, so I'll just fix that. Alright, so the basis is all there. Works nicely too in that I wanted to have just enough track here for either a something like the length of a 47 or a steam engine with a tender, Castle class or the Flying Scotsman. Obviously it's going to be harder to have rolling stock coaches and hoppers and things like that on trains. But you could do that if you had a little jinty sort of shunting along. You could have a couple of coal hoppers or whatever the case may be, and just use it as a little bit of a shunting track as well. Also, going back here towards the buffer stop, wanted to have enough space there, which is why I've extended it with a couple of little pieces for either a 47 or a steam and tender loco. And back here is fine because that's disappearing behind trees and the building. So pretty happy with that. I'll start tacking that in place, and then we're ready for some serious scenery work. So with the track tested and pretty acceptable, I'm now in the process of taking down the track, which is as hard as this. Fantastic. So I'm going to continue to put. Should have my glasses on for this, really. Hard to see the little things. I'm going to continue to put the track pins in. Gee, they're going nicely. Just decided to give the deck of the bridge paint while I'm waiting for the rocks to dry. So what I'm starting to do now is some of the scenery work, some of the scatter work. So as you can see, I've put down a thin layer of white glue with a paintbrush. along certain areas that I'm wanting to do. And I've got myself a little tea strainer here, which I don't always use. I do like to use it sometimes. Sometimes it's better just to use a spoon or something like that just to get it on nice and thick, but because I'm working with the foam here and the foam's fairly flat, I'll probably get by with a tea strainer. The other thing about the tea strainer is you do lose a bit of it. You'll see some of it's going onto the ground down there, so I want to just be a bit careful on that. I'm going to be adding static grass to these areas anyway, so it doesn't have to be overly thick. So what I'm going to do is, once that's down as well, I'll get up the excess with the vacuum cleaner. And once I've got this down, I'm going to do some static grass. I'm going to show you the way that I do that. But yeah, as I say, I'm going to get a nice coating of this done first. All right, now as you can see, I've put down a thin layer of grass, scatter material. Now the one that I've used this before, and I love it, is the blended turf, Woodland Scenics blended turf green blend, which, if we have a look closely, has some nice little yellow sort of flowers through it and things like that. It's actually quite a nice sort of spring blend, I suppose, lush grass blend. And but what I've also done is I've mixed my own ballast here, and I've put that as the base for the signal box. So that's in there, ready to be glued down. I've put a couple of little bushes on, but that was just really because there was white glue there, so I thought rather than let that set and sort of go to waste, I'll put some bushes there, just in there as well. You see what I mean by the rocks? The rocks sort of come into their own once you've got the grass on. They really stand out quite nicely, and when you scatter the grass on, the grass sort of falls around the crevices of the rocks, which I think is quite nice. I'm going to try a different method here. Rather than the white glue, eyedropper routine of sticking the grass on, because it is quite a thin layer and we're putting it straight onto the foam. What I'm doing is I'm using this stuff here, contact adhesive. I've used this in the past and it's worked quite well. I assume it's going to work well here as well. As with anything that you haven't used on a product you're not sure of before, test it on a test piece first. So I'm going to test it on a small piece of foam first, just to make sure it doesn't eat it away. I'm sure it won't, but just in case. Now what I've done here, very, very important, mask your tracks so that you're not spraying the tracks. And this goes for using white glue as well. The next thing I'll be doing after this is putting ballast down. The last thing I want in the world is to be trying to brush ballast into the tracks and dealing with this tacky mess. None of the ballast will work for me. It won't fall into the tyres. It'll be a disaster. So I've masked the tracks fully, and the points, point switches, very, very important. Use a good masking tape as well. That's very, very important. Don't use the cheap, 50-cent stuff. It's 50 cents for a reason. It leaks, it bleeds, it's no good. So use a good painter's quality masking tape so that you know it's going to do the job. I'm going to get to work and spray all this down and see if my idea works and it does actually stick down. Fingers crossed. All right, so I've given it a spritz with the quick grip, and I think so far, touch wood, it's sticking down quite well. Interestingly enough, one of the byproducts is that it actually pushes up some of the foliage to make it look like sort of rough bushes or overgrown bushes, which is quite good. So I'll keep that way, so as everything doesn't look too flat. And I'm going to give it another shot in just a moment.